So yeah, hello and welcome everybody to this recording of the open briefing call for the London actions for Insure Our Survival. And without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Steve to talk a little bit about why we're doing this. Over to you, Steve.
Brilliant. Thanks, Etty. Evening, everybody. Glad you're all here. So I'm one of the Insure Our Survival campaign team. I'm a media messaging lead, but I'm just going to talk to you tonight about why insurance. And if anybody saw the film a few minutes ago, um, there was that line in it about talking to power, about truth to power. And that's absolutely true. But we all know it's not as simple as that. It's actually about finding power's pressure point and applying pressure to it. And we believe that insurance is exactly that pressure point. Insurance, right? Boring, not sexy. It's not like going after the fossil fuel crooks directly or even going after the banks. But honestly, I believe this is the most important thing that Extinction Rebellion can be doing right now because it's actually Extinction Rebellion gold. It's doing what we're good at. It's thousands of us on the streets protesting a weak spot in, as the film said, the fossil fuel Death Star. And honestly, this is the weak spot. It's the Achilles heel of the oil, gas, and coal barons. No insurance means that they can't afford to dig and drill for their oily products, the very products that are heating up the planet, causing extreme weather, causing climate collapse and breakdown. They can't do it because they cannot take the financial risks that come with being part of that industry. They simply can't. If anything goes wrong, they'll have to pay for it. So no insurance, no drilling. That means that lots of those carbon bomb projects out there, the ones we've all protested about, can't happen. It means lots of the oil projects will be cancelled or delayed. It's all buying us time. We can't win with this action alone, but we can start turning the kind of super tanker. The more of these insurers that pull out of the market, the more the others have to take bigger risks. And then they start deciding maybe it's not worth the financial risk involved. And also, maybe it's not worth the reputational damage that Extinction Rebellion are causing for us by making our complicity in climate breakdown so obvious to the rest of the world. And here's the thing, right? It works. We know it works because in February, when we carried out a similar week of actions, Zurich, one of the biggest insurers on the planet, announced immediately afterwards that they were pulling out of new oil and gas. So we know that pressure applied on this industry works. Another smaller underwriter called Probitas also announced a pullout. So we've already seen the dominoes start to fall here. And we think that this week, if we can get enough people onto the streets and we can apply enough pressure to these insurers, more of them will start to crack and more of them will decide that they can't be taking the risk any longer. So that's something you can be part of. I mean, I know we say this all the time, part of history, right? And the simple thing about this is the other thing XR are good at, right? Simple demands. We've always been about simple demands. There's one single demand for this campaign. Dump new oil and gas projects now and forever. So that's where we are. That's what it's all about. That's why you should be part of it. So I hope you will be. After my stirring little speech there, I'm going to hand over to Risky next to tell you a little bit more about the campaign in a bit more detail.
Thanks, Steve, and thanks, Anne-Marie. I will do my best to speak slowly and clearly. It's not always my strength, but I will do my best. So I'm going to talk to you about the 3 days in London. Going to give you a little bit of a taster of what we've got planned and what the kind of look and feel is going to be like. So I'm just going to do a massive thank you to everyone that's working behind the scenes to bring these plans together. They're doing a fantastic job, and you're going to see all the proof of their hard work. So firstly, a bit of an exclusive actually. So all 3 days we've got the same muster point, which is 11 a.m. at Trinity Square Gardens, which is near Tower Hill Tube. So we will put that on the Rebel Toolkit imminently, but I thought you'd just like that little exclusive. We have got on Tuesday, we've got an early muster as well. I will give you a bit more detail about that in a minute. Generally speaking, the activities go on till around about the end of the business day, sometimes a little bit earlier, sometimes a bit later. but let me get into what the days actually look like. So Monday, we're trying to do this narrative arc, which Steve has crafted. But basically, we're trying to link climate impacts to insurers. So the first day, we're talking about flooding. So the narrative is the floods are here. I mean, it's in the news everywhere. We've had all of those US floods have been filling our news feed for weeks on end. But even so, extreme flooding is no longer something that's far away in foreign countries. It is happening now. It's happening to our friends and our family. It's filling up our social media feed. So what we're trying to do on the Monday is very clearly highlighting the complicity of the insurance industry in these disasters. So we're talking about insurers. They're insuring fossil fuels. Their oil, gas, and coal is heating up the planet, and those extreme weather events are flooding your home. So we are confronting the insurers with this complicity, and we're using like imagery and stories and performances to really land that messaging. So what's it going to look like? So as I said, 11 a.m, Trinity Square Gardens, that's where we're mustering every day, nice and easy. What do we want you to wear and bring? So we're talking extreme weather gear, okay? So this isn't your North Face jacket. This is like galoshes, sou'westers. Like if you've got a life jacket, bring that. If you've got a paddle, full credit to anyone that wants to wear like a wetsuit or a dry suit all day. That's definitely not recommended, although you'll get a lot of respect for it. But what we're going to do is you're going to be filling the crowds with all your gear on, and then we've got a pink life raft. So we're going to be holding that aloft, and we're going to be carrying that on the march as we visit various insurers. So, and then at one of the stop-offs, we've got disco obedience, do a bit of a dance. At another stop-off, we'll be creating a flood scene. So we use the pink life raft, and we'll use other props and staging to create a kind of flood scene. And then we'll be having a mass die-in at this particular point. And of course, we all want you to join in with that. There'll be a signal, some sort of alarm or something. And then we'll carry on with the march and the boat. We end up at the Royal Exchange, where we're going to have some food and some music and some speeches. But that's at 2:30. So we're not going to feed you until 2:30. So you need to bring some snacks and some food to sustain yourself until then. Bring food to share. We like that in XR. So that's Monday. Tuesday, the messaging moves on. So we've been talking about flooding. We're now talking about what that actually means. So after the floods, we have food crises and wrecked lives. It's joyful stuff, guys. Sorry, but you're used to this stuff by now. We bring the fun. It's the fifth rule of rebellion. So the floods are here. Their impacts go far beyond just flooded homes and roads. They're wrecking our ability to farm, grow food, and feed ourselves. So we've got the food price inflation. That's fueling the cost of living crisis, and food shortages are looming. So we're using this imagery, actions to highlight the collapse of UK farming and food production, and also highlight, global impacts. So as I said, on Tuesday, we have an early shift. So again, so if you're an early bird, if you're already in London, we've got an early muster point at 7:30, and that muster point is the gardens next to the Leadenhall building. Again, an exclusive. You heard it here first. So it's Leadenhall building is on your right, and you'll be looking at Lloyd's in front of you. It's a nice little landscaped sunken garden thing. So that early shift, they'll be going off to visit one of the insurers and engage with some of the workers and the public. And then at 11 a.m. is your standard muster point Trinity Square Gardens again at 11 a.m. And on the Tuesday, so we're using these performances, images, a bit of creative stuff to help land this message of the insurance industry complicity in food crisis, in food scarcity. So we're using Gideon Mendel's photos. We've got a selection of his amazing imagery to really illustrate what that actually looks like, both in the UK and globally. And we've also, the Art Factory has been working really hard on getting some clever pieces, some visual stuff to help us land this particular messaging around food scarcity. And again, there'll be a mass performance highlighting this particular issue. There's going to be an Oliver Theatre song. But to participate in the mass action, you need a bowl. You should always bring a bowl to all XR actions because we don't want to be handing out disposables, but you need a bowl specifically to participate in this mass performance, okay? So we're moving on. Later in the afternoon, we'll be down at the Walkie Talkie building, and XR families are joining us there. They've got a little action as well, so that'll be really nice to see them joining us, giving us a finale for the day. So in terms of what you're wearing and what you're bringing, there's no particular ask on the Tuesday. If you want to come in business attire, that will work fine, or just come as yourselves. Either way, that works absolutely perfectly. But bring your bowl or your Tupperware or whatever you've got. That's Tuesday. Wednesday. So we're moving the narrative on. We talked about flooding, we talked about food. We're now talking about like what that means in terms of like system collapse. Again, I'm sorry guys, it's dire stuff, but you're used to this. We know this stuff. So we predict a riot, we predict a food riot.
Can you just repeat what Wednesday's theme is, please? The interpreter.
Yes, sorry. Societal collapse. How do you know how to BSL that? Well done. Sorry, that was patronising. I didn't mean to. So we predict a riot. We predict a food riot. Is a bit of a tagline. So as the floods worsen and our food supply system falls apart under repeated deluges, social unrest and rioting are the inevitable result. We've seen how this plays out in other countries. So what do we think is going to happen here? So we're going to use, like, again, theatrics. It's nearly Halloween, so we're playing on a little bit of a zombie theme for this Wednesday. So think of like zombified insurance workers just doggedly pursuing like profit and growth and business as usual as everything's crumbling around them. So we're trying to communicate this collapse and chaos, and we've got some little performances again. So we've got the 4 insurers of the apocalypse, which are going to kind of hopefully help us in landing this message. What we will say is XR hasn't tried to land the messaging around societal collapse in an action before. It's new territory for us. We're dead set on it. We think it's really, really important that we start talking about this, but it's tricky. So, but it's going to be a first. So it should be interesting. So if you want to dress up, fairly easy business attire again. Little bit of zombie makeup. We're getting some face painting makeup people at the muster point if you want to look extra specially gaunt and dead. And so we're mustering 11 a.m. Trinity Square Gardens. We've got a flash mob dance, thriller killer at one of our stops, followed immediately afterwards by a zombie die-in, more die-ins. That'll be signalled by an air raid signal. We're going to have the unfair ground games that we've created for Upgrade Democracy. We've got some of those coming out at midday, and then at 3 p.m. we'll be at the Walkie Talkie for some more food, music, and speeches. But remember 3 p.m. for food, so you're going to need to bring something to sustain you and share. That is the 3 days. Okay, some extra points just to run through. So we're all spokespeople. I know some of you like talking to camera or to microphone more than others, but if you can, just have a few sentences in your mind about what you'd like to say, or, you know, if you're asked, what are you doing here today? Just have a little something. You've got a lot of material shared with you, but generally it's best to like speak from the heart. Just have that in mind. It's always really appreciated. It's always really good to get different voices, not just the same ones all the time. And on that theme, if you're talking to the public, if you're up for a bit of outreach, then you have to bear in mind that you're going to be talking to 2 audiences. So you could either be talking to an insurance industry worker, or you could be talking to the public, a general member of the public. So you're going to need to establish that fairly soon. So just bring that up in your questioning. Who are you? What are you doing here today? No, don't ask that. But just establish who they are. And then we've got 2 sets of leaflets. So one for the insurance industry workers and one for the public. So just figure that out. So that's the outreach stuff. As I've said, bring your Tupperware, bring your bowl, bring your cutlery. It's not only looks really bad handing out disposable stuff, it just is really bad. I mean, we're XR, we have to be doing this. I'm guilty of it, I've done it in the past, but please bring your own bowl, Tupperware, whatever it is. And finally, one more point I want to make, actually 2 more points. Accessibility. If you have any accessibility needs, by magic, Peter from Tech Support has just put the details in the chat. So that's brilliant. But yes, if you have needs, do get in touch, because then we can do our very best to meet your needs. And that's really, really important to us. And the last thing I just wanted to really point out is that we have Prepare for Action training. We've got 2 sessions that are taking place before the 28th. So one of those is Wednesday the 23rd at 7 p.m. Again, in the tech support on it. And the second is Sunday the 27th in the morning at 10 a.m. Details are there. You can sign up there. I don't really need to say much more about that. But we do really strongly encourage you to get one of those briefings, because it will just let you know what to expect, how to react in different circumstances. It'll just make you feel a bit more prepared. We've got all of these details are in the Rebel Toolkit. So Ned's just posted the link to a Rebel Toolkit. So all the details are on there, except the muster points, because I've only just released those. And finally, I'll just say, it's really, really important for you to understand how valued you are in whatever role you take. So please don't underestimate what the impact that you can have. Whatever it is, we need everybody. We need all of you. Okay. So if you can commit a little bit, if you can commit to just turning up for an afternoon, then great. If you're committing to a role for the whole of the 3 days, then fabulous. It's all needed. We need all of you. And so thank you very much. We're all crew. And now I think I'm passing on to Jim to talk more about roles. So that was a very slick transition. Jim, over to you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Risky. Big thanks. Well, also for bringing us back exactly on time. I'm impressed. I know there was a lot of daily details that Risky went through. Don't worry about trying to remember it all. That's all available on the Rebel Toolkit. Links will be in the chat, and they'll also be sent out to you in an email afterwards. So don't panic about that. Okay, so we're all crew. So we are short of stewards and road takers on all 3 days, but especially Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, it really helps if you volunteer now. The link is provided there. Click that link and sign up now. It's much easier. You get in the chats for the training, the updates, etc. If you don't volunteer now, we'll come and grab you out of the crowd during the mornings before the march moves off. Because if we don't have enough stewards and road takers, the march can't move away. So seriously, please consider signing up now. All of the crew teams would also welcome more volunteers, but it's stewards and road takers we are particularly looking for, especially Tuesday and Wednesday. And travel subsidy and accommodation are available. All that's on the Rebel Toolkit, so don't get put off because you think of the cost. And remember, you also don't need previous experience. We take people who've never done it before. It's a fantastic role, and you really get to see the different side of an action. So just sign up now with the link that's been provided in the chat. And with that, I think I'm handing back to Etty.
Yeah, thank you ever so much, Jim and Risky and Steve. Really, your contribution is so important and really, really grateful. So I just want to let everybody know. So there's a lot of information in Extinction Rebellion. People can sometimes find it a bit intense, but we're just going to tell you a little bit about where you can find things. So first of all, the best thing to do is to join the Rebellion broadcast, and that has got lots and lots of information about everything that goes on. That's on the Telegram platform. The next thing you can also do is join Insure Our Survival Telegram chat. And that chat a place to put questions, and you can just chat to other people in there if you like. We've also got a broadcast specifically for Insure Our Survival stuff. So the Rebellion broadcast is a bit more general. This Insure Our Survival Telegram broadcast is specifically for Insure Our Survival things. As Jim said, and I think other people have also said, almost everything we've heard and everything else that you could not even imagine you need to know is on the Rebel Toolkit. And the Rebel Toolkit is like the definitive place to find information. There's so much in there. And that also includes the week planner. So if you wanted to kind of go over the information that Risky shared and also actually find out about what else is going on around the country, there's a kind of day-to-day planner on the Rebel Toolkit as well. And if you're not really into kind of reading things, there is also a calendar of the actions happening in London and in the nations and regions of the UK. So you can kind of see it in a kind of calendar format there. So that really is about to wrap up the briefing part of this call. I just want to say to everybody who's turning up, who's about to go off to join the briefing for the Birmingham actions, I want to say thank you very, very much for coming. Yeah, it's a very valuable time that you've given us Sunday evenings. Most people are just sitting down watching TV or something, and we are all here preparing to put pressure on this fossil fuel Death Star through its weak spot in the insurance industry. And that is a beautiful, amazing, and extraordinary thing. So thank you very, very much. We're going to open the chat now so people can start asking their questions. But thank you, everybody who's been here, who has to now dash off. And if you want to stick around, we'll try and get through as many questions as you can. But we will say goodbye to the Birmingham-bound people. I just want to give a big shout out to Anne-Marie as well, because can you imagine how hard it is to do interpreting when people like me are just chatting around? Oh my word, I don't even imagine it. So thank you very much, Anne-Marie. She bears it well. And so many of you here giving up your time again, once more.